And now one of the things I'm doing this summer is I'm making this baseball game. This game is going to go through in more or less the right order as far as my class is concerned on how to build a video game using some physics. That game is going to be a baseball game. That's why I've got this baseball guy here. So far I've gotten to this point where I've drawn the pitcher, I've drawn the background, and I've got a start button. So if I don't click the start button and I start clicking things, nothing happens. If I do click the start button, I start clicking things, nothing happens, unless it happens to be this pitch button. And right now the pitch button just cycles through the different states that I can draw, the different animation panels for the pitch. What I'd like to do is change this action here, change the program, so what the pitch button will do is it will start with this guy and then just do one pitch, cycle through maybe once every 30 milliseconds, switching the frames, so that in 100, 150, 200 milliseconds or something, the pitcher will cycle through and we'll get something that looks sort of like a smooth throw. And after that, we can start doing the actual physics. So we're going to use the timer for that. For this part, we're going to use the timer twice, once to build a stopwatch in class, and once as part of the first mini project, which will basically be just jumping jacks. So everything that I'm doing here is something that you could do in the jumping jacks game. It's sort of the same sort of thing. You just have to change it around for jumping jacks and for the scoring system that you're going to have for that jumping jacks game. But other than that, we're right about ready for what needs to happen for that first mini project. So let's get out of this and see what we need to do. So what I need to do is I need to have the pitcher do nothing until pitch is pressed. We're already there. And then after pitch is pressed, you shouldn't be able to do anything to the pitcher either. He'll just go ahead and do his own thing. And as the time changes, the state will change. So right now I'm using this change state function to do that. But I'm going to have to switch that around. All right. So I'm going to have to switch that to an update function. All right. I'm going to have to update with some interval in mind. Okay. That's going to be some time interval. All right. And then if that interval is greater than the frame rate, then I shouldn't use a frame rate. I should probably use frame time, which is 1 over the frame rate. Then we change our state. So that would be call self change state. Okay, so that's what I'm going to want to do. All right, and that seems to be perfectly reasonable to me as far as that's concerned. The only issue here that I see is that right now I only have this self state, and I don't have any frame time, right? And actually the interval is coming in all by itself, right? I don't want the interval to come in all by itself. I want the interval to do something a little more, to stay in here. So we're going to have that be self interval. So self interval is going to update with the interval plus equals interval. And so when I'm done with it, I've changed the state, I want that self interval to go back down to 0. All right. So I need to add both of these things in here at the pitcher. So this is something that's going to be kept track of inside of the pitcher object. So each pitcher, if I have more than one pitcher, would have their own interval and their own frame time to worry about. But we're not going to worry about that because we're only going to have one instance of this pitcher going on. But still, each one would have its own time. So it's going to start off the interval at 0, and the frame time. So now we have to think about that. Will it be in milliseconds or will it be in seconds? Now, if I come down here, in main, as you might remember from looking at the discussion of what goes on in main, there's a interval clock here. So that is in milliseconds, okay? In your own, in the boilerplate that you get in the class, it might be in seconds. Actually, it probably should be in seconds, so I'll just leave it in seconds. And so I'll go ahead and go back up here and do that frame time. So that frame time, I'm going to want to be, okay, well, let's make sure that's in, that's a floating point. And that frame time, I want to be, let's just start off with 100 milliseconds. That'll be slow. I'll have to change it later, but that'll let us see what's actually going on. And let's see, well, I'd like to see if something's going on, but nothing's going on yet, because we're not calling this update method anywhere, all right? So, and we're not starting the thing, right? So let's see what happens if I come down here to engine. Right now I'm sending it the interval in the field. Another thing I want to send it is the picture, right? If I send it the picture to the engine, then I'll be able to here go avatar, so interval field avatar, so we're still calling it the picture of the avatar, and we'll update him with the interval. All right. So we would also be able to use the field class for some other things, like telling if a ball went off the field. We'll do that later. But right now, we want to update with the interval. Let's see what happens. And right now, since I don't have any other controls, I haven't told it not to do it unless it's going or anything like that. It just cycles through. So this is more or less what I want to do. That's actually okay. I might be happy with that. We'll see. I might have to slow it down. In fact, I thought it would be too fast, but it might be too slow. I thought it was going to be too slow. It might be too fast. So, so I need to have something going on. Well, the thing is the thing here is that as far as this engine is concerned, I don't really want it to go unless start's been pressed. So, because I don't want the pitcher to be able to do anything unless I'm in the game, right? There are more advanced ways to do this, and I'd do more advanced ways if I had that mythical Unit 5 that I keep talking about, Unit 6 maybe. But right now we just keep track of it with this go here. So we've got that there. We want to do something else when we do the when we click the pitch button, though. So the pitch button should move things so that the pitcher starts pitching. All right. So we need to have some other state for the pitcher. Let's say he's waiting, and that's true. So as long as he's waiting, this should not happen, right? So let's see, self-interval and not waiting, okay? Self-waiting, all right? And so we'll also need something where we start the pitcher. And that will set waiting equals false, okay? And now, if I start him, then something should happen. I need to do one more thing, though. I need to go back to my control, and rather than change the state directly, now I'm just going to tell the object that it should start cycling through. It should start by itself. Let's see if I've broken anything. So far, nothing's broken. Can't do anything with pitch until I press start. Nothing happens. That's good. That ephemeral thing disappeared from the last thing. Let's see what happens. Oh, and now if I press pitch, he keeps on going. Now, he keeps on going over and over and over again. That's not what I want him to do. I want him to stop after the pitch, right? I don't want him to come back to 0. I want him to stop after the pitch so that I'll be able to have the ball go to the left later on. So I need to do something to make him stop. So what can I do to make him stop? Well, in fact, what I can do is I can just change the code so that if the state gets too large, it just stops there, right? That'll be sufficient for now. We'll get to a point where when he changes his state far enough, we're going to want to create a ball. And that ball is going to go from the right side of the screen to the left side of the screen so that somebody can start hitting it later. But let's see what happens now. Does that look a lot better? Start pitch. Okay, so that seemed pretty good. So I don't have any way to restart it right now. I could do something where I'd restart it. So how would I do that? Well, if I wanted to restart it after that, I could do a reset, right? And what would I want for the reset? I'd want self.state equals 0, self.interval equals 0, self.waiting equals true, right? That seems good to me. Nothing else is going to change. But now I'm just repeating some lines from the initialization. So if I'm just repeating lines from the initialization, I actually don't want to keep them, right? I want to start by resetting my pitcher with his own reset method. All right. So I want to do it once, right? So that way, if I decide I want to change any of these values, I just have to change them once, right? I don't have to change them in the initialization and in the reset. So I can do that. And let's see what happens if I slow this down. I'll do 150 instead. All right, let's see. So I didn't break anything so far, and now I pitch, and I didn't call the reset, so that's not going to do anything. So let me go back down here. Let's see, how could I do a reset? Well, so it's if he's going, and we've got that control event, then we go back up here. Oh, I haven't sent the start button here, so this is going to be a little tricky. So I'm going to just send all the buttons here to the control, and then I have to remember which button is which, and if I add more buttons I'll have to change things, but that's sort of what happens. So then I'll have to cycle through all of the buttons. So for button in buttons, if button is clicked, well, actually can't do that. So like I said, I have to remember, so if any button 1 is clicked, I start it, and because I think the pitcher is number 1, and copy paste and all that. Button 0, then I reset, excuse me, and only one of them is going to get clicked, so we'll reset before we start. So let's see what happens if I do that. Alright, so everything's okay, press start, and it didn't like something. Uh-oh. Okay, I need buttons 0. And function of 5. Okay, start, pitch. Pitch is happy. Start, resets, nice. And he goes through and he does the pitch. That looks fine to me. I'm not sure if I like that frame rate. I've got plenty of time to change it if I don't. So that's pretty much what we've got. I've shown you how to do that timer thing and how to use the clock and all those other things. And you can use it to do a real timer, or you can use it to do a real timer in class. You can use it for the timer in your other game. So I think that's pretty good. So I'll get ready for the next bit, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.